Nemophila and the new mini album Gozo. Yeah, we're here to do a bit of a track by track listen through to the songs I haven't already heard from this. In other words, basically the two songs that didn't already come out earlier, at the end of last year. And those two songs, obviously, I've done reactions to both of those already. So if you want, you can go back and check out my reactions to those. But I didn't at the time know they were going to be the opening two tracks from a mini album called Gozo, which we've now got. Actually, it came out a couple of days before we recorded this. I think it's the 24th today. I think it came out on the 21st, but just with everything that's going on and the whole fact that I'm here in Korea instead of Japan, I just haven't had the chance to deal with a lot of upcoming releases. And this is actually one that, in all fairness, I've got a lot of reason to be excited about this, because I was really quite surprised when the most recent full-length album, Apple of My Eye, came out. I'd been slowly growing to like Nemophila more and more as the years had gone on. I think if you know me, I won't bore you with the story again, but basically when Nemophila first came out, I was like the one person who just wasn't feeling the band in the same way everyone else was. Just as time went on, though, the songs started appearing, the songwriting started to gain its own identity, and they got better and better. You had things like Evolve, which was like a really amazing album. And then obviously we heard about the departure of Saki and everything that came along with that. And there was a lot of questions about what is the band going to sound like. And yes, there was a big change to the sound. When we got Apple of My Eye, it went in a much more kind of raw and aggressive sound for the best part. But I felt that where that usually is shorthand for a band just panicking and trying to be heavy or just losing all sense of nuance, instead what we got was a very nuanced album with a lot of clever ideas on there. It was just a different and new kind of Nemophila. A reinvention that I felt actually worked really well. So I'm really excited to see what we get with this, because the first two songs that we've heard so far, obviously I am aware of the fact that they are very heavy, scream-intensive songs. They remind me a lot of when Brainwash came out. There's definitely a vibe that they went for a very raw and heavy direction. And obviously I know that the other thing that they're saying about this mini album is the idea that it's all self-written and produced. And I think they've got, sorry, that's the sound of my hard drive giving me a warning. I think you probably heard that as well. I know they got some, there was some crew on here. I think they got a little bit of help with the mixing or something. But basically it's a self-produced album for all intents and purposes. So I'm kind of interested. Is this going to just be sort of raw, full-on energy all the way through, which I don't mind? Or is it going to continue to have all of the nuances and interesting ideas? There was definitely a lot of interesting ideas in the first two songs, but I kind of feel like overall I want this to, even as a mini album, I want it to have the same level of variation that we got on Apple of My Eye, where you got some songs which are just totally not that heavy, and you got some songs that are really heavy but in kind of a clever way, like Progress, where they go into all different directions. So I want to hopefully keep that sense of exploration and songwriting genius that has become more and more part of Nemophila's sound massively more and more over the years. I want to kind of feel that. So we've got interesting first two songs. Are the other three going to go in a similar direction, or are they going to go in a different direction? Let's find out. So we're jumping straight in with track number 3, which is called Oblivious, because, well, I've already listened to the first two. And again, the reactions are out there if you want to go check them out. I'll try and remember to do a little playlist at the bottom of this, but sometimes you forget. Right, anyway, let's check this out. This is Oblivious from Nemophila. Yeah, we can definitely tell which direction they're going in. I like that little harmony on the guitar there. I gotta be honest, I much prefer like the normal singing voice. But it's nice how she's bouncing between them. That's a nice little turn there. Those little chorus parts on the guitar are really cool. Yeah, this is a strong chorus. You can start to feel like some of the little clever ideas being expressed in the little nuances here. Like little stops like that, I like that. Rather than just charging through, adding these nice little clever ideas adds so much to it. Okay, well, that I was just coming up to check the time. I was like, oh no, it's finished. That is a quick blast to a song. Do you know, this is definitely an example of one of those songs where the payoff at the end is better than I think what I initially thought it was going for, because it came in so quickly. I mean, I'll be honest, when I do these track by track reviews, if I'm either picking up a track by track review where I've had a pause in listening to the album, or it's something like this where the first couple of songs came out a while ago, I always go back and re-listen to the previous tracks to get myself back in the swing of it. So I just come back from listening to the previous two tracks. And so when this first came in, I was like, okay, I love the instant start, but there's a feeling that it's like, we just kind of feel like we're picking up a little bit where we left off the last two songs. It was like a little bit like, okay, straight back in with the exact same sound again. However, what I did like about this, it developed into a really good chorus. It had, again, those little nuances, those little stop and start bits, whereas as I was saying there, you've got that little tripleted part happening there, where it just sort of breaks up over the rhythm a little bit. There was those nice little bits where you had the chorus guitar, where it's playing up and you get the, it sounds like two guitars layered over the top of each other playing up. You're sort of running these nice little kind of scales. Again, my vocal representations of instruments are spot on. And yeah, it was really cool hearing those nice little touches. I would say overall, yes, given what we've had on the album so far, this does kind of feel like just continuing of what we've had so far. It doesn't really feel like it sets itself apart from the previous songs, but then again, this song is not a single. It's one of the songs that wasn't released in advance or got a music video or anything. I would say fun, definitely fun. Not one that really takes them to any place that they haven't already been on this album, and certainly doesn't take them to any place they haven't been before either. Just kind of nice and fun, but definitely this was to me like the definition of an album track. It's good, but I would come back to it on its own. I also feel like it's consistent with everything that came before it on the album, but it also, you're always striking that difficult line when you're doing any album, whether it be a mini album or a full length album. You know, you're trying to strike that line where each song feels distinct and yet continues from the last one, or at least continues the narrative. This is certainly on the safer side of continuing the tone that the first two songs had set, rather than trying to take that and develop it into any new direction. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I think if I was just listening to this album so far and getting the feeling this is going to be one of those albums where you put it on, it's 5 tracks, it's just blasting energy all the way maybe, and just adrenaline. And if that's the case, then it keeps the adrenaline level up. But I just don't think it does anything that the other tracks hadn't done. So it's kind of like it is a safe, I like it, but I'd probably only listen to it on the album kind of review. That's where I would leave this one. Certainly as well, I think we are now getting we're 3 tracks into a 5-track album, and it's definitely a very Scream intensive album. I think that was true as well in a lot of ways on things like Apple of My Eye, but then again, Apple of My Eye was punctuated and broken up by like ballads, Apple of My Eye, you know. But you know, we'll see we've got 2 more tracks to go. I don't know. Is this going to go in a different direction? Doesn't need a ballad. I'm just kind of interested if it does go in a different direction, or if we're just going to have 5 tracks of adrenaline all the way. If you're watching this, you probably already know the answer to that. But follow me as I find out the answer myself. Anyway, thank you so much for checking us out. We'll be continuing with the next track, hopefully quite soon. I'm going to try and put these out in a fairly quick progress over the space for a few days. So until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. Until then, for now, ciao, ciao.